Researchers Graham Hancock and Billy Carson have made a monumental discovery, a tomb believed to house the remains of the last Annunaki king. This discovery not only challenges our understanding of ancient civilizations, but also stirs a mix of awe and trepidation among those who unearthed it. As Hancock and Carson delve deeper into the secrets of this ancient tomb, they confront a history intertwined with mythological narratives of gods who walked among humans. The implications of their findings are profound, provoking both excitement and fear as they explore the shadows of a long-forgotten past. Let's dig into their extraordinary journey, the historical significance of their discovery, and why it has left them, and many more scientists, profoundly unsettled. The name Noah is widely recognized from biblical lore, typically associated with the Great Flood. Intriguingly, some theories speculate that Noah was also a secular figure, potentially the last ruler of one of the original Sumerian cities during the dawn of Mesopotamian civilization. This suggests we may be uncovering a chapter of human history that intertwines biblical figures with historical rulers, possibly indicating a resurgence of knowledge about ancient technologies. Have you ever delved into the myths surrounding King Gilgamesh and the esteemed city over which he ruled? Let's transport ourselves back to around 2700 BCE, immersing in the rich tapestry of Mesopotamian culture during the early dynastic age. Here, the stories of legendary rulers like Gilgamesh provide a window into the sophisticated societies of ancient Sumer. Graham Hancock and Billy Carson suggest that their findings hint at a technological exchange that took place. Newcomers to the region brought distinct knowledge with them. This period marked the emergence of city-states across Mesopotamia, laying the groundwork for some of the most intricate early human societies. The archaeological endeavors of Hancock and Carson often employ a blend of traditional techniques and cutting-edge technology, crucial for unraveling the secrets of ancient civilizations. Their work in uncovering the tomb, believed to house the remains of the last Annunaki king, exemplifies the sophisticated approach needed in modern archaeology. One of the cornerstone technologies used is ground-penetrating radar, GPR, which allows archaeologists to create a subsurface image of an archaeological dig site. GPR can identify buried structures, cavities, and potential artifacts, enabling a non-invasive way to assess a site's potential before the actual dig begins. This technology is invaluable in preserving the integrity of the sites, minimizing disruption to the surroundings. Carbon dating, another critical tool, is used to determine the age of organic artifacts. By measuring the decay of carbon-14, researchers can establish timelines with a remarkable degree of accuracy. This method has been instrumental in piecing together historical chronologies and verifying the authenticity of the findings. Forensic analyses, including DNA sequencing and isotopic analysis, provide further insights into the lives of ancient peoples. These methods can help identify the geographic origins of individuals, their diets, and even aspects of their daily life, which paints a detailed picture of past civilizations. Despite these advanced tools, archaeologists like Hancock and Carson face numerous challenges. Looting remains a significant threat to archaeological sites. Valuable artifacts are often stolen before they can be documented, losing crucial historical information. Researchers must work quickly to secure sites and preserve invaluable data. Deciphering fragmentary inscriptions is another common obstacle. Many ancient languages have only been partially deciphered, if at all. Each new discovery has the potential to offer significant insights, but also requires meticulous analysis and cross-referencing with known texts. The work is slow and often fraught with uncertainties, demanding a high level of expertise and patience. Political and environmental hurdles also play a considerable role. Archaeological digs often require navigating complex bureaucratic processes to obtain necessary permits. Political instability can halt projects indefinitely, while environmental conditions, such as erosion, flooding, or the very nature of the terrain, can pose significant logistical challenges. The task of uncovering and preserving humanity's ancient heritage is as daunting as it is exhilarating. While modern technology has transformed archaeological practices, enabling discoveries that were once thought impossible, the field continues to face substantial challenges. Each site, like the one explored by Hancock and Carson, brings its unique set of trials, from the technical to the human factor, all of which must be expertly managed to peel back the layers of history effectively. At the center of this historical tapestry stood Gilgamesh, a figure whose legacy transcends mere kingship, venturing into the realms of legend and epic narratives. He reigned over Uruk, a prominent Sumerian city-state situated along the fertile Euphrates River in present-day Iraq, an area often overlooked in in-depth ancient archaeological studies. Envision a vibrant urban epicenter, buzzing with market activity, adorned with majestic temple complexes, and dominated by the famed walls of Uruk, reputedly erected by Gilgamesh himself. The architectural designs were geometric, requiring immense coordinated labor efforts. Uruk was not just any city. It was a pinnacle of cultural, economic, and technological advances, recognized for pioneering achievements such as the creation of cuneiform script. What was it like to live under King Gilgamesh's reign? Think of a ruler who transcended mere mortal status, embodying divine importance, tasked with ensuring his people's prosperity and well-being. Under his stewardship, Uruk thrived as a hub of religious fervor, especially devoted to Inanna, a key deity in the Sumerian religious hierarchy. Gilgamesh's Uruk exemplified the peak of Sumerian architectural, engineering, and societal developments, its bustling population affirming its position as one of the era's largest cities. During his tenure, Gilgamesh was pivotal to Uruk's functioning, orchestrating its administrative directives, spiritual rituals, and defensive strategies. His governance likely initiated grandiose constructions that not only augmented Uruk's magnificence, but also fortified its security, cementing its status in the chronicles of antiquity. In our quest for historical reflection, we risk missing the profound connections to our forebears unless we delve deeper. It seems we are on the brink of unraveling the endeavors of our ancient ancestors. As we excavate the annals of history, King Gilgamesh emerges as a compelling amalgam of legend and historical reality, captivating scholars and archaeologists. The distinction between mythic and actual figures in history often merges into a nebulous overlap, yet there are tantalizing archaeological clues that suggest Gilgamesh's tangible existence within ancient Mesopotamian civilizations. The myths of the Annunaki, central figures in Sumerian lore, offer a fascinating glimpse into ancient Mesopotamian beliefs about the cosmos, creation, and the divine. But these stories do not exist in isolation. By comparing the Anunnaki myths with those from other ancient civilizations around the world, we can uncover shared themes and unique variations that highlight the interconnectedness of human cultures. The Sumerian creation myths, where the Anunnaki are said to have played a key role in the creation of the world and humanity, bear interesting parallels to Egyptian mythology. Both traditions emphasize a pantheon of gods involved in complex interactions and relationships that affect the world directly. For instance, the Egyptian god Atum, similar to the Sumerian Anu, is seen as a creator god who brings forth other gods and, by extension, the world itself. Both mythologies also share the theme of divine beings granting kingship, which underscores the divine right of kings to rule, a pivotal concept in both cultures. When looking at the Maya mythology, particularly the narratives found in the Popol Vuh, their sacred book, we see gods who actively participate in the creation and destruction of world epochs, akin to the Anunnaki's role in Sumerian tales. The Maya gods, like the Anunnaki, engage in trials, create and destroy humans, and intervene in human affairs, suggesting a similarly dynamic interaction between the celestial and the terrestrial. The stories of gods navigating the underworld and engaging in battles with the forces of chaos mirror the Mesopotamian epic tales, where gods and their demigod offspring control the fates of humanity and battle monstrous entities. Comparing Norse mythology, the creation myth involving Ymir, the primeval being from whose body the world was created, offers a counterpart to the Mesopotamian narrative of Tiamat, from whose split body the heavens and earth were formed. Additionally, the Norse tales of Ragnarok, where a series of cataclysmic events leads to the rebirth of the world, echoes the cyclical destruction and renewal themes found in Mesopotamian mythology, where order is periodically re-established by the gods. These parallels across diverse cultures suggest not only possible cultural exchanges, but also a shared human inclination to explain the universe and societal structures through stories of divine action and interaction. The recurring themes of creation, divine justice, chaos, and rebirth across different mythologies underscore universal questions and concerns of ancient peoples. Taking a look at how different cultures tackle the same big questions through myths can really show us a lot about how myths spread and how different societies tried to make sense of the world around them. Comparative mythology shows us that even though ancient civilizations were miles apart and separated by huge barriers, they still shared some common stories that tap into basic human thoughts and emotions. By digging into these mythological similarities, we get a clearer picture of how ancient people saw their place in the universe, and how they used these stories to express their deepest values and fears. It's like piecing together a massive, multicultural tapestry that shows just how interconnected human expressions of life and belief can be, stretching across continents and lasting through ages. Now let's talk about the Sumerian King List, which is a document that intertwines factual and mythical narratives chronicling the rulers of Sumer along with the durations of their reigns. Intriguingly, Gilgamesh is listed among these monarchs, lending credence to the notion that he might have been more than just a mythical sovereign. The presence of his name across several iterations of this list, discovered in diverse locales and times, underscores the importance the Sumerians placed on their leadership chronology, solidifying Gilgamesh's significance in their historical records. Also, they found inscriptions and relics that give us little glimpses into Gilgamesh's rule. Imagine finding a tablet or a seal stamped with Gilgamesh's name. It's pretty cool, because it shows he was a real king, not just a legend. These bits and pieces scattered around old Sumerian sites help keep Gilgamesh's story alive, not just as a myth, but as a part of history. But trying to separate the real Gilgamesh from the legendary tales is like trying to untangle a really knotted rope. The stuff they have dug up so far is patchy and gives us just a few clues, so there's still a lot of mystery around who he really was and what he did. But the discovery of what is believed to be the tomb of Gilgamesh has significant implications for educational contexts, offering a fresh and tangible link to the distant past that enhances how ancient history is taught. By integrating this archaeological find into academic curricula, educators can provide a more concrete context to the teachings of the Epic of Gilgamesh, which has traditionally been approached through its textual content. This discovery enriches the curriculum by allowing for a multidisciplinary approach, connecting history, literature, archaeology, and technology, showcasing how modern scientific methods help illuminate ancient inquiries. Incorporating Gilgamesh's tomb into educational programs not only updates the curriculum, but also invigorates student engagement with ancient history. For instance, virtual tours and augmented reality can bring the ancient world to life, allowing students to explore a virtual reconstruction of Gilgamesh's tomb. Project-based learning, such as simulated archaeological digs or artifact analysis, encourages hands-on experiences that build research and critical thinking skills. Moreover, interdisciplinary studies that link the Gilgamesh narrative with lessons in geography, environmental science, and art help students draw connections across various fields. Classroom debates and discussions can further enrich learning, especially topics on the impact of such discoveries on our understanding of Sumerian culture, or the modern interpretations of ancient myths. The integration of this archaeological find into literature and world history classes can make these discussions more dynamic and historically grounded, providing students with a more engaging and comprehensive learning experience. This holistic approach not only updates the educational content, but also inspires a new generation of historians, archaeologists, and scholars, ensuring that the study of ancient history is not just informative, but also transformative. Honestly, the possibilities are endless. Nonetheless, the artifacts and records we possess are invaluable, bridging the divide between myth and documented history, suggesting that Gilgamesh might have indeed transcended the realm of epic narratives. Venturing into this ancient epoch, we encounter one of humanity's earliest literary works, the Epic of Gilgamesh. Imagine the clay tablets inscribed with cuneiform script, the earliest writing devised by the ingenious Sumerians. This epic is not merely a narrative, but a portal to the third dynasty of Ur, around 2100 BCE, with roots extending even further back through earlier Sumerian poems about the legendary Gilgamesh. The tale of Gilgamesh was unearthed in the modern age by 19th century archaeologists who explored the remnants of the library at Nineveh. Visualize the meticulous task of reconstructing a jigsaw of ancient clay fragments, each shard revealing a segment of the epic's deeply moving narrative. Although some pieces have vanished through the ages, the fragments that survive speak volumes about the breadth of human imagination and resolve. Now, focusing on Gilgamesh himself, he was far from your typical ancient monarch. Described as being 2/3 divine and 1/3 mortal, he possessed extraordinary strength and bravery, distinctly setting him apart not only from ordinary humans, but also from other legendary figures. The Epic Chronicles, a series of audacious adventures and quests that highlight Gilgamesh's desire for renown and everlasting legacy. Consider his expedition to the cedar forest to vanquish Humbaba. This episode epitomizes legendary heroism. Yet, it is the death of his companion Enkidu that profoundly transforms him, propelling him on a pursuit of immortality and confronting him with the sobering reality of human mortality. Enkidu's role is crucial. Fashioned by the gods from the wild to curb Gilgamesh's hubris, he evolves into Gilgamesh's closest confidant and soulmate. Their friendship serves as a central theme, illustrating how profound connections can spur personal development and lead to significant insights about life and self-awareness. At its essence, the Epic of Gilgamesh delves into themes deeply intertwined with the human condition. It explores the relentless pursuit of recognition and the age-old desire for immortality, only to acknowledge that death is an unavoidable aspect of life. The narrative emphasizes the value of companionship and how it profoundly influences our path to understanding and embracing our humanity. In the whirlwind of adventures within the Epic of Gilgamesh, readers encounter some of the most compelling interactions between mortals and the divine found in ancient literature. Gilgamesh's journey is not merely about heroic feats or the quest for eternal life. It is an exploration of the intricate interplay between gods and humans within Mesopotamian mythology. Consider, for example, Gilgamesh's encounter with Utnapishtim, akin to the ancient world's Noah. Imagine engaging with someone who survived a cataclysmic flood thanks to divine forewarning to construct an ark. This is not just an extraordinary tale of survival. It represents a crucial juncture for Gilgamesh in his quest for immortality. Here stands Utnapishtim, a living testament to the gods' ability to bestow eternal life. The narrative of the Great Flood, wherein the gods decide to renew humanity, yet save Utnapishtim, reflects the formidable sway of the Annunaki in Mesopotamian lore, wielding the power to determine humanity's destiny. Gilgamesh's Odyssey is rich with divine encounters, providing a unique window into the ancient Mesopotamian understanding of the universe. Consider Enkidu, Gilgamesh's steadfast companion, crafted by a goddess in response to divine concerns that Gilgamesh was too unchecked. Then there's Ishtar, the goddess of love and war, whose scorn following Gilgamesh's rejection manifests in the form of a celestial bull sent to devastate as vengeance. And we cannot overlook Humbaba, the formidable protector of the cedar forest, installed by the god Enlil. The confrontation between Gilgamesh and Enkidu and Humbaba transcends a mere battle. It represents the tension between human aspiration and divine will. Throughout his epic journey, Gilgamesh maintains a connection with Shamash, the sun god, who acts as a celestial guide and mentor, actively engaging in Gilgamesh's quests. Even Gilgamesh's mother, Ninsun, who is a goddess of wisdom, plays a crucial role in providing counsel and safeguarding her son, underscoring the theme of divine involvement in Gilgamesh's life. These interactions illustrate the Sumerian belief in gods as omnipresent forces, actively shaping and steering human destinies. The narrative also delves deep into the Sumerian perception of fate and the cosmos. Through the epic's progression and Gilgamesh's ultimate reconciliation with his mortality, the story underscores a philosophical coming to terms with human constraints and the significance of forging a lasting impact through one's actions and relationships. As we peel back the mythological and historical layers, Gilgamesh stands out as a figure intricately woven from threads of myth and reality. The Epic of Gilgamesh, with its vivid array of characters and divine interludes, sheds light on ancient Mesopotamian ethos and beliefs. It serves as a timeless reflection on the human endeavor to find significance, achieve immortality, and comprehend a world influenced by both divine intervention and human initiative. Should these excavations confirm the existence of Anunnaki-related figures or artifacts, it could significantly deepen our comprehension of Sumerian history, while simultaneously challenging and expanding our understanding of ancient civilizations and their mythologies. This exploration underscores our perpetual curiosity and the relentless pursuit to reconstruct the narrative of humanity's origins and its ancient deities. In the vast array of mythological and historical stories, the Annunaki are key characters in Sumerian mythology. Often linked with celestial bodies and the cosmic order, these gods are central to many ancient texts and myths that have defined Mesopotamian culture. Their stories show us how the Sumerians saw their gods, and just how much they believed these divine beings impacted human life. The Anunnaki were viewed as formidable entities who orchestrated the fates of people and nations. Their connection with celestial phenomena underscores the ancient Sumerians' advanced astronomical knowledge and their belief in a divinely ordained cosmic order. This interplay between the divine and celestial events reflects a sophisticated understanding of the universe, integrating spiritual significance with observable celestial patterns. A key element in the lore surrounding the Anunnaki is their involvement in the Great Flood narrative, a motif that recurs in various ancient traditions. This narrative, in which a divine being forewarns of impending disaster, offering means of survival, resonates across different cultures and highlights themes of divine warning and salvation. Similar to the flood story in biblical texts, this Sumerian account emphasizes themes of divine judgment and mercy, showcasing a universal contemplation on the roles of the divine in catastrophic events and the resilience of humanity in the face of such calamities. The concept of Nibiru, a hypothetical planet believed to follow a long, elliptical orbit, continues to captivate and spark debate. Proponents of this theory suggest that Nibiru's periodic close approaches to Earth could be responsible for triggering catastrophic events, fitting into the broader narrative of celestial bodies impacting terrestrial phenomena. Although mainstream scientific consensus does not acknowledge the existence of Nibiru, the idea persists, weaving together threads of ancient advanced knowledge and potential extraterrestrial influences. Complementing these speculative theories is the work of Randall Carlson, who explores Earth's geological past. Carlson's research illuminates how natural cataclysms, like comet impacts and volcanic eruptions, have profoundly influenced Earth's climate and shaped the trajectory of human civilization. His findings propose that our planet has undergone dramatic climate changes and geological upheavals, potentially echoing the cyclical disasters depicted in some ancient myths and legends. This fusion of mythology and scientific exploration, as seen through the lenses of the Anunnaki, Nibiru, and theories of cataclysm, highlights our enduring desire to decipher the forces that have molded our planet and its history. These narratives, whether rooted in myth or grounded in scientific investigation, provide crucial insights into human curiosity and our perpetual quest for understanding within the cosmos. As Graham Hancock and Billy Carson dig deeper into the shadows of this ancient tomb, the implications of their discovery grow increasingly ominous. Unearthing the resting place of the last Anunnaki king, they have peeled back the veil on a long-forgotten past that challenges not just our understanding of ancient civilizations, but also the very fabric of modern historical narratives. What other secrets lie buried within these ancient walls? What truths about the origins of mankind are still hidden, waiting to be uncovered?
I have been an advocate for a position that is unpopular with mainstream archaeology, and that is the possibility of a forgotten episode in human prehistory. That there may be, in our distant background, a lost civilization.
Hancock's primary assertion is that a highly advanced civilization predates those of ancient Egypt, Mesopotamia, and the Indus Valley.
A lot of people are under the impression that I think aliens built the pyramids. Well, I don't think aliens built the pyramids. I don't need aliens for that. Who needs them? The possibility of a lost civilization is much more plausible and much easier to stand up.
He has extensively studied sites such as the Great Pyramids of Giza, Angkor Wat in Cambodia, and the megalithic structures at Göbekli Tepe in Turkey.
And that question, who am I, is a question that our society discourages us from asking. Our society just wants us to be passive consumers.
Hancock also explores the concept of cataclysmic events that may have dramatically altered the course of human history. He proposes that global catastrophes, such as massive floods or asteroid impacts, could have wiped out advanced civilizations.
Most archaeologists will roll their eyes when you mention the word Atlantis. But the earliest surviving reference we have to Atlantis is in the work of the Greek philosopher Plato. The story was of a great advanced civilization that had been destroyed in an enormous flood. And that flood can be dated because Plato tells us what the Egyptian priests told Solon. When Solon asked when was Atlantis submerged beneath the ocean, they said, 9,000 years ago. That was in 600 BC. So that gives us a date in our calendar, 9,600 BC, or roughly 11,600 years ago. If you want to be exact, 11,622 years ago.
And actually, that's how a lot of archaeology happens. Somebody's building a road or building apartment buildings or building a dam, and they call in archaeologists to see if there's any interesting archaeology there. And this is part of the problem I have with archaeology as a discipline. It likes to think of itself as scientific, but what I think it's primarily doing, and it is weird, is trying to control the narrative about the past.
There's a difference between history and archaeology. When you have written documents, and that's the historical period, you can be much more sure of your facts. But when you're dealing with excavations and material that has no written documents on it whatsoever, inevitably you enter into speculation about the past. And I would say a lot of archaeology's view about the past of humanity, the deep past, going back into the last ice age, is speculation, not fact. There are no documents to demonstrate it, but they've excavated certain sites, they've found certain materials, and they've drawn certain conclusions from them. And you know what? They may be right, but I think it's important that there is an alternative voice, which is offering an alternative point of view, which is looking at facts that archaeologists prefer to ignore. For example, there's a wobble on the axis of the Earth, which astronomers call precession, and it affects the timing and the positions of stars in the sky because the Earth is our viewing platform from which we observe the stars. Changes in the orientation of that platform will change the appearance of the stars in the sky. According to mainstream archaeology, precession was supposed to have been discovered by the Greeks about 2,200 years ago. But there is detailed information about precession in ancient myths going back thousands, possibly even tens of thousands of years before that. And it's things like that that make me feel that archaeology is not giving the whole story to the public. I'm not saying that it's a conspiracy. I'm not saying that archaeology is hiding things or covering things up. I don't think they are. I think that archaeologists work very hard. I couldn't do my own work without the work that archaeologists do. I respect them and I value what they do. But I think it's unfortunate that they've become the sole voice to interpret our past to us.
ancient Egyptian ideas about this realm being a theater of experience where we come to learn and to grow and develop. We're obliged constantly, every day, to make choices, and those choices define us. And those choices may be very small or they may be very large. But we are learning, hopefully, from these. And I just don't think that this is an accident. This is my belief system. I don't commit to any of the monotheistic faiths, but this is my belief system, that this is a special place, that we are here to learn and to grow and to develop in a world that has consequences, where there will be consequences to the decisions that we make. I like the Buddhist idea of going through multiple incarnations and eventually reaching a state of perfection where you embrace nirvana. But some come back, the bodhisattvas. They choose not to go to nirvana. They come back as teachers to teach human beings how to better and improve their lives. First of all, because archaeology is so desperate to be seen as a science, it tries as hard as possible to distance itself from any ideas that might be seen as woo-woo. You know, anything out on the edge, archaeology doesn't want to associate itself with. And then it takes the next step and really seeks to attack out on the edge ideas. Now, I don't know why the possibility of a lost civilization during the Ice Age should be an out on the edge idea. We've had lost civilizations before. The Indus Valley civilization today in Pakistan wasn't known about until the 1920s. It was found by accident. And, you know, every turn of the archaeologist's spade can reveal new information. But the reaction to my proposal that we've forgotten an episode in the human story, it's always been hostile since I published Fingerprints of the Gods in 1995. But with Ancient Apocalypse, much bigger platform reaching a much wider audience, the reaction was just hysterical. And it went on for a very long time. And it appeared to me, I don't think it's a conspiracy. I don't think archaeologists are involved in a conspiracy. I think the people who are attacking me genuinely believe in what they're saying, and they genuinely think I'm harmful. But that's like calling it the most dangerous show on Netflix.
I've always believed that if I'm going to write about something, I have to know what the fuck I'm talking about. I've got to get my boots on the ground. I've got to really get into the subject. So I can't talk about the Great Pyramid of Egypt without knowing it intimately, inside and out.
To make sure you're putting out the right vibration to the universe.
Yeah, and also to respect the structure and respect the work that I'm doing. So, yeah, I've traveled the world
investigating the possibility of a lost civilization. That's my main thing. Was there a lost civilization, advanced civilization during the Ice Age? But on my journey, I've also encountered psychedelics. Back in 2005, I wrote a book that was very much focused on psychedelics called Supernatural. It's just been reissued under the title Visionary, with some material that was previously deleted, restored to it. Now, I had not had a psychedelic experience since 1974, and I'd only had one. And that was
Sometimes that's all you need.
That was with LSD, and that was at a festival in the UK, and it was one of the most amazing, extraordinary experiences of my life. But it was so powerful that I got cowardly about it, and I thought, supposing that went the other way, what would happen to me then? And for many years, I didn't take any psychedelics at all because of that fear. But then I came to write this book, which is really about a turning point in the human story. I think psychedelics played a huge role in making us what we are. And obviously, I couldn't write that book without taking psychedelics, and specifically without going down to the Amazon rainforest and sitting with shamans and drinking the visionary brew, ayahuasca, with them. So it started out for me as a research project, but it became a life-changing activity. I would say that my life has been transformed since I encountered psychedelics. And it's a great mystery as why do psychedelics make us question ourselves and look deep into our own hearts and find out who and what we are. They're teachers, these medicines.
Is that archaeological discoveries are constantly pushing horizons back, but not considering the implications of that. It wasn't so long ago that anatomically modern humans were thought to be just 50,000 years old. Now, if anatomically modern humans with the modern brain, with our capacities and abilities, have only existed for 50,000 years, that doesn't leave a lot of room for a lost civilization to come and go. But then we find 196,000 years ago from Ethiopia, and then more recently 300,000 years ago from Morocco. And suddenly the expanses of time that have not been investigated, in which a civilization could have risen and fallen, become much greater. And that's why it's important that stuff just keeps on getting older. And we must recognize Egypt as an African culture.
Yeah.
That is what the ancient Egyptians were. I believe their language belonged to the Hamitic language family, which is closely related to the Somali language, for example, in East Africa. African culture, incredibly sophisticated, incredibly advanced, doing stuff that we just don't know how to do today. Archaeologists will tell you they could build the Great Pyramid, but I defy them to do that. The Great Pyramid is literally impossible. It's something that doesn't make any sense. It certainly doesn't make sense as the tomb of a megalomaniac pharaoh, which is what we're told it was.
I think that if we take the case of the Great Pyramid of Giza, which is the last surviving wonder of the ancient world and probably the most famous monument on Earth, I think the problem is that archaeology doesn't allow that monument to speak for itself. Why did it need to be aligned to within 3/60ths of a single degree of true north? I mean, really, it can be a fantastic, grandiose tomb, and it can be 5 degrees off true north and nobody will notice. But to get it within 3/60ths of a degree of true north requires extraordinary effort. Why does the Great Pyramid have a kind of scale model of the Earth built into it? If you take the height of the Great Pyramid and multiply it by 43,200, you get the polar radius of the Earth. If you measure the base perimeter of the Great Pyramid and multiply it by the same number, 43,200, you get the equatorial circumference of the Earth. So not only is the Great Pyramid aligned perfectly to true north, but also it incorporates on a scale of 1 to 43,200 the key dimensions of the Earth, the polar radius and the equatorial circumference.
The geology, the precipitation-induced weathering, is one of the pieces of evidence for a much older Sphinx. But the other thing is the astronomy, the fact that the Sphinx is an equinoctial marker. You know, if you stand looking due east at Giza or anywhere in the northern hemisphere on the spring equinox, there's 3 key moments of the year. 4 actually. There's the winter and summer solstice, and there's the equinoxes, the spring and fall equinoxes. On the summer solstice, the sun rises far to the north of east. On the winter solstice, it rises far to the south of east. But on the equinoxes, it aligns perfectly due east. And that's what the Sphinx is. It's aligned perfectly to due east, and it's gazing at the horizon. And then we come to this contentious issue of who discovered the zodiacal constellations. Because the Sphinx, 12,500 years ago, was gazing at dawn on the spring equinox at the constellation of Leo. In other words, this lion monument on the ground was looking at its own celestial counterpart in the sky. Egyptologists dismiss that. They say that nobody had any idea of the constellations until the Greeks. I think they're wrong. So astronomy and geology together combine to invite us to consider the possibility that the Sphinx may be much older than 4,500 years old.
Archaeology, as traditionally practiced, often relies on well-established narratives and timelines to piece together the story of human civilization.
I think that any civilization worth the name of civilization has experimented deeply with altered states of consciousness. Consciousness is the great mystery of life. What is this thing that we know we're conscious, we don't know what it is, and scientists don't know what it is. And again, our society wants to keep us on a very narrow path of consciousness where we're productive and we consume, but we don't do much else. And that's why psychedelics have been illegal for so long, because they are a threat to the prevailing status quo. I think any civilization worthy of the name civilization has encouraged its participants to explore altered states of consciousness, because if we just stay within that narrow band, we're never going to realize our full potential. We have to step outside the narrow band that society makes, always with one proviso, while doing no harm to others. That's the crucial thing.
However, there exists a branch of thought within the field that challenges these conventional accounts, advocating for a broader and more nuanced exploration of our ancient past.
What he sees
are bones of a gigantic size that he's never seen before. I mean, this is a guy who, he had been on the buffalo hunting plains back in the 1870s, so he had seen buffalo butchered. He knew what bones from big animals look like, but these were giant bones. And so this guy, McJunkin, started trying to call attention to this site. He never was able to do so and get any archaeologists out or paleontologists out to look at it. He dies in 1922, but about 4 years after his death, this museum curator from Denver, a guy named Jesse Figgins, comes down and brings a crew down. And I mean, what Figgins is interested in, he's sort of an amateur guy himself. He's just interested in some fancy big bones for his museum up in Denver. But his crew starts digging into this site, and they began uncovering these giant bison. What they're finding is a site of bison antiquus, these giant bison that became extinct about 10,000 years ago, the ones that the Folsom people had particularly specialized in hunting. And as they're excavating this site in the first summer, they come across, just sort of lying in the debris, a couple of points like they've never seen before, which are 3 or 4 inches long and have these thin flutes on either side at the base.
Ancient Greek was a wonderful culture, magical culture, beautiful, beautiful, beautiful work, but a relatively recent culture. And it was channeling knowledge from much earlier times. In a way, ancient Greece is the meeting point between the lost ancient world and the modern world in which we live. And that's why the Greeks and the Greek texts are so useful to us. And that's why I think the Atlantis story is a very important story.
It's part of the human condition to be curious about the past. And I do think it matters, particularly when it comes to the issue of a lost civilization. Because here we are today in the 21st century, a highly advanced technological civilization, feeling very secure in our own achievements and very proud of what we've done. And the present model of history and prehistory that is presented to us by archaeology allows us to feel that way, because it encourages us to see ourselves as the apex and the pinnacle of human achievement. I think that this is a very dangerous position to take. I think it's important to know, are there missing chapters in our story? Particularly, is there a lost civilization in our story? A civilization perhaps not as advanced as ours, but much more advanced than the hunter-gatherers who are supposed to have been the only population of the earth during the last ice age.
I've been lucky enough to travel extensively all my working life, live in many different countries, and I have no doubt that people are the same all over the world. The same hopes, the same fears, the same dreams. I love the cultural diversity of humanity. This is one of the beautiful things about the human race. So many different cultures bring different important pieces to the party. I love that, and I would never seek to get rid of that. But underneath that cultural diversity, we are human beings. We love our families. We have hopes and ambitions for the future. We have dreams. All of us do. Whatever side of a particular argument we're on, you get down to that basic level, we're all the same. And what I believe what unites us as a species is much more significant than what divides us. And we need to start paying less attention to what divides us and more attention to what unites us, and to celebrate our diversity at the same time without saying my diversity is better than yours.
So for me, the notion of a lost civilization is inseparable from the notion of altered states of consciousness.
Yeah.
And our civilization is really missing out on something very important by being afraid, by not allowing these experiences, by forcing people to go illegal in order to have experiences. I believe very, very strongly that as adults, we should have full sovereignty over what we choose to do with our own bodies and our own health and our own consciousness, so long as we don't harm others. That's the crucial thing. So long as we don't harm others, we should have complete sovereignty. It's none of the government's fucking business what I put in my body or how I treat my body. It's my concern, my responsibility. And all the governments are doing is making us not responsible for ourselves, turning us into children.
The notion that we need leaders at all is a questionable notion in my mind. I'm not sure human beings do need leaders. We need administrators, organizers. We live in large, complex societies. There's a need for organization. But leaders with charisma, with power, who impress others of their ideas and who attract a following, that is the road to ruin. That is what we're on at the moment. We see I don't see a single leader anywhere in the world right now who I like or who I feel attracted to or I feel who offers some hope. My litmus test for any leader in an advanced industrialized country is what's his position on drugs? What's his position on the war on drugs? His or her position? Are they going to maintain this strict control, this legal penalties for people choosing to alter their own state of consciousness, or are they going to realize that our consciousness is fundamental to what we are as human beings, and that we as adults must have the sovereign right to make choices about our own consciousness, including taking drugs? Even if those choices annoy others, we should still have the right to make those choices. And I don't see many politicians who are saying, actually, what we should do is legalize all drugs. I think we should. I think all drugs should be legalized, and then accompanied with wise advice. There's no evidence that the war on drugs has had any success in controlling the use. There are dangerous drugs. There are drugs that I would not advise people to take. But the way to do it is not to impose draconian penalties on people for exploring their own consciousness. Often, when people react to my view on the war on drugs, which is we should throw it away and legalize all drugs, they say, but it'll be so dangerous. Terrible things will happen if you legalize all drugs. I'm sorry, all drugs are already available illegally. Anybody can get access to them when they want to. The war on drugs has not worked. Yeah. Now this is very interesting, and this connects with a fundamental American value, as I see it, which is the value of individual freedom.
Right.
Individuals, adults, not children, should be allowed to make decisions about their own health and their own bodies without some authority figure preaching to them or even sending them to jail. It's really important to be able to make mistakes and to learn from them. And that's another problem with leadership, which is that the whole leadership structure seeks to protect us from making our own sovereign decisions about our lives.
Yes.
To deny us the opportunity to make mistakes and to learn from those mistakes. We've all got to be these perfect creatures that go through life producing and consuming and not causing any trouble. It's a very crazy situation that we confront with the war on drugs. And fundamentally, I think there's an issue of human rights which has just been completely neglected by the war on drugs. That we, the government, can tell you what to experience in the inner sanctum of your personality. And we will allow certain drugs which happen to make huge amounts of money for our friends in the pharmaceutical industry, and we'll not only allow them, we'll celebrate them and we'll advertise them in every possible way. But other drugs we will not allow. That's very un-American. America is a country that celebrates and that enshrines individual freedom. And I love that about America. And one of the good things about the legalization of cannabis in whatever many states it is, 20 plus, is that all those prognostications, all those warnings that legalization would lead to catastrophe turn out not to be true.
Not at all.
State by state, America is proving that the war on drugs is full of shit. It's just time for the federal authorities to catch up.
The end of the Ice Age was an apocalyptic episode, and you can really pin it down between 12,800 years ago, 10,800 BC, and 11,600 years ago, 9,600 BC. And that's a period that geologists call the Younger Dryas. So the question becomes, this cataclysmic episode of 1,200 years ago, which begins with a deep freeze and a sudden sea level rise, and which ends with a sudden warming and another sudden sea level rise, was very erosive and damaging to anybody who lived along coastlines. 27 million square kilometers of the Earth's surface was flooded at the end of the Ice Age. That's roughly China and Europe and the Indian subcontinent added together. As the sea levels rise, they're smashing into these coastlines and they're pummeling and destroying everything. This was the best real estate on Earth. This is where people lived during the Ice Age. The coastlines were the best places to be, and those were the places that got massively damaged and pummeled. I don't think that archaeology is in a place to say we've got the whole past of the human race sorted out, when they haven't done the work on the flooded coastlines during the Ice Age, when they haven't done the work in the Sahara Desert, and when they haven't done the work in the Amazon rainforest. There are enormous areas of our planet that have barely been touched by archaeology.